Concord is one of Sony's largest failures of all time. They bought Firewalk Studios thinking that this game was going to be a massive Overwatch competitor, and that definitely isn't the case. And now we're seeing people already speculating that it's going to go free to play in the near future. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I, of course, do not like Paul Tassi. He is the last video game activist on this planet that I would look to for some kind of information. And what he is providing in this article isn't really groundbreaking because there are so many people already speculating this, but I just wanted to reference the fact that the mainstream media is already turning on Concord. For weeks and months, they've been shilling for this game, saying, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. It's got so much to offer. You should definitely buy it. And now their tunes are changing because it's been such an epic failure. Even Forbes and Paul Tassi are saying free-to-play Concord is inevitable, but will it change things? Of course it's not going to change things. This is a title that had a free open beta for anyone to test out on PlayStation and PC, and it did not work. It didn't bring in people. I mean, it had more people than the actual release of the game did because it was free, but even those numbers were lousy. During the open beta, it topped 2,500 people. And yeah, I mean, that's quite a few people, don't get me wrong, but that's nothing compared to what they expected it to do. We were hearing that Sony, of course, bought Firewalk thinking that this was going to be a major Overwatch competitor, that it was going to change the scene, but every move they made with this title was bad. They had a straight up $40 price tag, which I do think can be okay if you are offering a really unique and expansive experience, but that's not what they're doing here. They're providing you with 16 characters. I believe that there's 10 maps in total, and that's it. You're not getting some like large story mode. You're not getting some abundance of maps and characters. That's not what this is. They followed the Overwatch launch model, but Overwatch released in 2016, okay? You cannot be living in the past anymore. The competition you have is all free to play. You can't just charge $40 up front when you're not offering a massive experience. And now it's already being speculated that, yeah, it will go free to play. And I do think that it is inevitable. I mean, right now on Steam, it currently has a measly 134 players in game. We know that it is already struggling when it comes to matchmaking because there are so few players in game. I mean, the wait time, this is hilarious, is already over 8 minutes because the game has lost over 60% of their player base, and it only topped 697 on release day. These are absolutely pathetic numbers. And yeah, I understand that this is a new studio, it's a new IP, and I do think that new IPs can be really good. I would much rather see developers create new IPs than take existing ones and twist them around and manipulate them and modernize them, but you still have to create good content, and they did not do that here. There is nothing that is appealing about this game. I would much rather go and play Overwatch, where I think the characters are really unique. They all have their own cool costumes and lore, and, well, with Concord, basically nothing is redeemable. Now, the question really boils down to how soon will it go free to play? And this article speculates, keep in mind that this game did sell at least some amount of copies to players for $40 or for special editions. Going free to play too quickly would not be perceived well by those who had supported the game, and Lord knows they don't want to do actual refunds, so the timing of this is tricky and may be pushed for many months as a result, all while the game loses players. I think 2 months. Typically, I would say at least 3, most likely 6, but in this case, the game is already so dead that I think they have to take a chance and basically rip people off. It's not going to go over well for them, and they should not do that. I'm not saying they should, but that's basically the only way that they can try to turn this situation around. Of course, they're already going to face a shit ton of backlash for doing that from the people who did buy the game and people like you and I who are going to heavily criticize their moves, but that would basically be the only way to attempt to save this game's player count, because there are already matchmaking issues because there are so few people in game. And in 2 months, I think the game's going to be completely dead. But I don't really see a way for them to, come back from this situation. Now, there is also the chance that before they put it free to play, they will just put it onto PlayStation Plus. But while we don't know the PlayStation numbers, the console numbers for this title, one would assume they're pretty close to the Steam numbers, and even that I don't think is going to necessarily help them, because as far as we know, titles like this typically do better on PC. Most people want to be experiencing this on PC, and sure, I'm sure that putting it on PlayStation Plus will gain them some, players, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think they'd have to go free to play on both platforms as quickly as possible. And that could also mean a monetization change, because we know that there are, no battle passes, premium skins, loot boxes, and they really push that fact before release. I think that going free to play would mean they're going to change the monetization, and they are going to add a battle pass and skins. And I say this all the time, I understand that games need to make money. When it comes to free to play titles, as long as these skins are just skins and they're just cosmetics, they don't have any stats, I'm fine with a 10, 15, maybe a $20 skin if it's like a very special one and it's got some really cool effects. Like, you can push it to $20 if it's like a super unique one, or it's like a costume, a weapon skin, like a holographic spray, like in Apex Legends, things like that. But it can get really predatory very quickly, and their whole spiel again was the fact that they were just going to charge an upfront cost and they were not going to push these other things into the title. But I just don't see a way that they are, at this point, even if it goes free to play, make money. I don't see a way that this game could ever be considered successful unless they pulled a No Man's Sky and completely turned it around. But they would have to basically strip the game to, the bare bones and practically remake it, and I just do not see that happening here. So it will be interesting over the next few weeks to see what Sony does, what Firewalk Studio does. But when you have developers attacking gamers, calling us talentless freaks and telling us if you don't like it, don't buy it, people are not going to come back, even if it goes free to play. So I will be keeping my eye on Concord, but right now the player numbers are absolutely abysmal. The media is turning on this title, and people are already speculating that it's going to go free to play really soon. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.